When I was 5, my mom had an affair and left my dad and me for a wealthier man. For 2 years, I only saw my mom a few times. Then she disappeared and didn't contact us again. I even thought she was dead. I think my dad thought it was too much responsibility for him or was angry at my mom and somehow wanted to take everything that reminded him of her away. So he sent me to live with my maternal and I only saw him a few times a month for a short period. Unfortunately, my aunt died of cancer last year. I thought my dad would take me in, but he's busy with his new family, wife and kids. My grandma, dad's mother, wanted to take me, but then my biological mother came out of the blue to take me. When she came to take me, it was the first time I saw her in 9 years, and it felt weird. It sucked that she hugged and kissed me as if nothing had happened in those 9 years. She married the man she left us for, and they now have 3 kids. I've been living with them for 6 months now. I spend most of my time in my room since we're in another city 6 hours away, and I have no friends here. We rarely speak, but she tries to talk to me. Still, I ignore her and her husband. They try to include me in activities, but it's tough seeing them play the perfect family when I missed everything as a child, so I don't really like them. Her husband tried to make me call him dad, and he tries to spend time with me and talk to me. He knows I love tennis, so he learned about it and has enrolled me in tennis classes and wants to talk about it all the time he sees me. He even wants to take me to some matches. He introduces me as his son, and I hate it, since all I see is the guy that stole my mom from me when I needed her the most. It happened yesterday. He asked me to go with him to the grocery store, and he met a friend of his, and as his friend hadn't seen me in any family photos, he asked about me. And then my mom's husband said, "He's my firstborn. You didn't know about him because he was living with the sister of my wife's." I didn't make a scene, but when we got out, I told him to never say he's my father. He's just a homewrecker who stole my mom. We got home and he told my mom. So I said, "Of course you left me. And now you want to act as if nothing happened by playing the happy family." To be honest, and I'm not sure if I ever want to see you again. She started crying and her husband comforted her. So I just went to my room. They tried to talk to me, but I've just ignored them. Not the idiot at all. This is so messed up. If they really want to make amends and have a relationship with you, they should first apologize and admit that your mom completely abandoned you. She can't just come in 9 years later and expect everything to go back to normal. And the guy calling you his son is insane. You don't know him. Jesus' dad is worse. At least mom left him in the care of another parent. Dad flung him to an aunt and like mom wouldn't even take him back. I really think his dad would have let him go to foster care if mom hadn't taken him. His parents should just be called crap and crappier at this point. It makes me wonder if the affair was earlier, and if the other man is Op's biological dad. His stepdad called him my firstborn. I wonder too if stepdad is actually bio-dad. What Op needs from his mom and her husband is the complete truth about why she and her ex abandoned their son. Because I expect mom knows why the dad did it, and it's impossible to build a life or a relationship on lies. So Op needs to know the whole story first. I just want to add in here, Op, that I too hope you find peace when you move out. It's going to take hard work, and I recommend finding a good therapist. Your formative years were terrible because of your parents. Having someone who is truly in your corner and can help navigate your feelings and relationships is an absolute gift, and there's no shame in therapy. Also, if you can start saving money now and thinking about college and employment, don't tell your parents. Have a secret account. Start planning your move now. I wish you all the best. So my 21 female, brother 26, got married last weekend. He and my new sister-in-law, 26, had known each other for a few years, and naturally, I was invited to the wedding. She'd been vegan since she was 12 and converted my brother in recent years, so they decided to make their wedding vegan. I have no problem with any of this, and think it's great. Anyway, the problem is this. The issue I often have with eating anywhere is that I have multiple allergies: peanut soy, sesame, and a mild shellfish allergy. The first 3 I named are very serious and have landed me in the hospital in the past because of cross-contamination. So I'm wary. So I asked my brother if there would be anything safe for me to eat at the event, but because they're using a local neighborhood ladies' business as the catering service instead of something professional, it felt too risky, so I said I'd bring my own food, and he agreed that was the best option. I've done this with plenty of such events in the past, and it's never been a problem. The wedding day arrives, and it comes time to eat. Everyone is digging into food, and I pull out my Tupperware quite happily and dig in when I see the bride staring at me with horror on her face. I had brought a homemade sort of salad box with 2 eggs on top, and she just stared at me in disgust the entire time we ate without saying anything. After the meal was finished, she pulled me to the side. She said I ruined her meal and her appetite and ruined her day, and that I'm clearly a selfish person because I can't even go one meal without animal secretions at a vegan wedding, and that it was seriously disrespectful because the fact it was a vegan wedding was the main focus. That's in my eyes. I bought the food because they couldn't provide me with something safe to eat, and it's not like I brought a steak. I had 2 eggs and a big salad, and she must have been specifically staring at my food even to realize they were there. However, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the idiot because my brother also said it was in poor taste and I should have brought something else. So what are your thoughts? Not the idiot. Well, I understand having dietary restrictions, and it being her day, you have unavoidable dietary restrictions in that you're severely allergic to some foods, some of which were listed in the ingredients. You talked it out and got permission to bring your food. You did your due diligence. From there, it's your brother's responsibility to tell his new wife what's going on. Honestly, I think our brother's the idiot for not ensuring she had a safe meal. She's family, not a random +1. And I think it's on the people having the wedding to ensure dietary requirements are catered to. Since he and his wife failed to be hospitable to opt by providing food she can eat without dying or becoming severely ill, he gets no say in what she eats. Sorry, the focus of her wedding was veganism, not that she was committing to the person she loves. She's an idiot for that comment alone. Would she have rather you eat the food they provided and then have to call an ambulance? The pet eaten the catered food and had to be taken away in an ambulance. The Birdzilla would have still pitched a hissy fit because Op was stealing her thunder or some ridiculousness. To the peoples, the Birdzilla was looking to make an issue. No matter what you did, she would have had a problem. In18 non-binary recently started working at a home decor store as an online order shopper, grab items that have been ordered through our website and help with curbside. I've only been working there for about 2 months now. At my job, and I have my name tag as my preferred name, and people call me my preferred name. It's not mandatory, but we also have the option to put our pronouns. I go by they, them. A few weeks ago, my ex got hired at our store, but luckily we don't work in the same department, so we don't run into each other as much. We're not on bad terms, and neither are we unfriendly terms. Recently, several of my coworkers have begun calling my dead name despite me never telling them. I corrected them, but I was suspicious of how they got my dead name. Actually, a few days ago, my ex and I ran into one another at work, and he called me by my dead name. I corrected him and told him to call me by my preferred name, to which he stated, "I knew you before as dead name. I'm still gonna call you that now." The final straw was when his department manager, whom I hadn't talked to once, noticed my name tag that same day and said, "Oh, you have the wrong name on your name tag? I'll change it for you to dead name." I informed my manager about the issue and was informed that all the information would be confidential. The next day upon entering work, I was informed by one of my ex's work friends that he got fired. The friend was upset, saying that I was so messed up and got him fired over a name and that he's at risk of being homeless because he got fired. I feel awful, but I don't consider myself at fault here. Am I the idiot? No, not the idiot. If he literally wants to walk into work with an "I am a legal liability for my employer" sign on his back, that's his choice. Literally, all you did was talk to a manager when they asked you about your name, and that was enough for the dots to be connected. He shouldn't have bullied you if he didn't want to get fired. It would have cost him nothing to call you by the name you wanted to be called by, let alone not drag all your other coworkers into his campaign to make you miserable. He's also demonstrated he can't be trusted to deal with customers who don't fit traditional gender rules respectfully and might just disregard any rules of common courtesy he doesn't feel like following. So why should the company wait for him to cause an incident that will create an even bigger PR nightmare for them? Agreed. For everyone to start thinking the dead name is Op's real name in a matter of weeks, despite the fact they have known and worked with Op for twice as long, means that the ex went on an aggressive campaign of misinformation. I sincerely hope this situation quickly gets forgotten at your job and people do not dead name you again. My best friend got married last weekend at a destination wedding. I was a maid of honor and our friend group was bridesmaids. I originally planned on having my kids stay with my in-laws because I didn't want to exhaust them by bringing them to a destination wedding. But a few weeks before the wedding, my friend insisted on me bringing the kids. The kids for the ceremony because she wanted them to be ring bearers. I told her that I couldn't just bring the kids to the ceremony because I'd have to pay for a babysitter for the reception and I couldn't afford that. I had to pay for a destination wedding, a destination bachelorette party, all my expenses on hair and makeup, and the maid of honor dress plus the wedding gift. She was begging me and started crying about how much she loves my kids and wants them as ring bearers, and she'll find a solution regarding a babysitter. I trusted her on that. I didn't want to let her down because her wedding had already been canceled 4 times in 2 years, and I didn't want to add to her stress anymore. So we leave for the wedding, and last minute I find out that the bride had forgotten to hire the babysitter, despite her reassuring me we don't have to worry about it multiple times. That resulted in my husband skipping the reception and returning to the hotel with the kids. After the meal, everyone enjoyed themselves with their partners, while I was all alone because my husband was away. My best friend told me to cheer up, and it wasn't a big deal. But it was hard, as I felt like I was third-wheeling everyone. All my friends were with their partners. It wasn't their responsibility to keep company to me because of the bride's negligence about the babysitter. After we returned, the bridesmaids told me how sorry they felt and how I was right to feel upset. They also said they're mad about how the bride has guilted all of us regarding the amount we'd spend overall, despite knowing her financial situation, and how they feel like she partly guilt-tripped us because her wedding has been canceled before. This week I met for coffee with my best friend, and she asked my honest opinion about everything and not sugar-coated. So I told her I was mad how she promised to handle one thing for me, and she failed me, and the bridesmaids had made sure to do everything to her liking, despite our hardships. I felt like she was wrong trying to guilt-trip us as if it was our fault her wedding got canceled before. She then started crying and said she's a worthless and horrible friend and that I implied she's a bad person. The rest of the bridesmaids found out, and now I'll believe I'm up for telling the bride my honest feelings, and I should just suck it up and let it go despite being right. So the bride wanted everything her way, regardless of the costs or other burdens it might cause you and the other wedding party members, and didn't stop manipulating people after the wedding. I think the only reason she asked for Ope's honest opinion was to be able to turn people against Op and make them forget how she treated them all. Also, she didn't get defensive. She went right to, "Oh, I'm a bad person." She knew the answer. She knew the answer before she asked. She was hoping you would lie to her to make her feel better. Sounds like an emotional manipulation tactic to me. Destination weddings already impose a huge burden on everyone involved, but as someone not in the US, this thing about bridesmaids paying for their hair and makeup continues to astound me. You gave so much for her special day, and she couldn't even keep her babysitting promise. Why are you friends with someone so manipulative and willing to use you? My boyfriend and I are both 18. I was going to see my brother to discuss some family stuff. My boyfriend was with me, so he came along. My brother and sister-in-law just had triplets, and they also have a toddler, so 4 babies in the house. They need all the help they can get. I went to talk to my brother, and my sister-in-law just handed one of the babies over to my boyfriend and told him to keep walking with her in his arms until she fell asleep. My boyfriend did that, but when we returned home, he kept complaining that my sister-in-law didn't ask him to do it. She assumed it, and just put him in a position where he couldn't refuse. Get it, he could always refuse, but he considered it rude, so he didn't refuse. I told him, whatever, don't come again then. And he accused me of dismissing his feelings or concerns. I told him that if you unexpectedly visit a family with 4 babies, you can't expect hospitality and you're going to have to help entertain a baby. That's life. He said I'm being dismissive about it. I told him to stop moaning and stop being a child. He accused me of being an idiot. Your boyfriend is right on this one. Not expecting hospitality is one thing, but being expected to care for someone else's newborn without your consent is not okay. His presence alone is not consent. Yeah, I feel he's not relating the circumstances correctly, because I'd never hand a newborn to an 18-year-old man and assume he's okay with it. Strange for the mother to just instantly trust he was comfortable with that. She just gave birth to 3 babies and has a toddler to take care of. At this point, she'd probably hand the baby to her Uber delivery driver if it would get them to stay asleep. Poor mom probably would have handed him 2 if he had more arms. Just needed to say thank you so much for helping when you didn't have to, and I'm sorry you're uncomfortable. then don't over there anymore, because there'll probably be a baby thrust upon you. I'll just agree you are the idiot up just because of this. If you unexpectedly visit a family with 4 babies, you can't expect hospitality. And you're going to have to help. To help entertain a baby is an expectation in your family, but it doesn't mean it applies to all families. Handing a baby to someone unexpectedly without asking is invasive and rude. No one is obligated to tend to another's children, casual drop-in or visit or not, full stop. If you visit someone who just had a baby, you should either bring dinner, be ready to clean, or help with the baby. You shouldn't go to someone's house who just had a baby and expect to be entertained. They're exhausted, entirely sleep-deprived. So even if mom shouldn't have just shoved a baby into his arms, she literally can't even think straight.